workshop.
I need a few minutes to say.
You know, like my whole family was telling me like, you need to go to college or you need to go to the. You know what I'm saying? I want to be known. Like,
how I got engaged politically, it's always been a part of my life.
Shall call this workshop to order this morning. Welcome, everyone. I think we generally start with introductions, so maybe we'll start with that. Commissioner Fretham, represent District 1. Commissioner Moran, I'll pass it to you.
So hello, Reen Moran, Ramsey County Commissioner, District 4.
Victoria Reinhardt, Ramsey County Commissioner, District 7.
Ling Becker, Workforce Solutions Director.
Christy Cobbs, Planning Specialist with Workforce Solutions.
Rachel Molinar, Planning Specialist, Workforce Solutions.
Mary Jo McGuire, Commissioner, District 2.
Mai Chong, District 6.
All right, we'll go this way first. Right.
Jody Nelson, Executive Director, Changing.
Christy Snyder, Youth Friends. Haley Woodard, Chief and Founder of the Workforce Solutions.
Dario Otero, CEO of
We're
Youth
doing
Friends.
this now. This is after. Oh, okay. That's the workshop this after. Oh, okay.
It
really does.
Mariah Geiger-Williams, the new maternal and child care coordinator in public health, here to learn about and meet people related work. Elizabeth Olson, chief of staff. Kathy Fee, deputy county manager, health and wellness.
Min Chen, chief clerk.
Great, thank you all for joining us today for this conversation. Our workshop is titled The National Association of Counties Board Mobile Tour YouthWorks. We have a few other things, but we are excited this week to host several events associated with the National Association of Counties and the board meeting. This morning, we're going to hear from about a couple of specific opportunities that build off the workshops we had last week, centered on our strategic priority of intergenerational prosperity for racial and economic inclusion. We'll be hearing more specifically about a visit from President Biden's senior advisor, Tom Perez, and NACO Mobile Tour, both happening this Thursday from Workforce Solutions staff and partners. With that, I will turn it over to Deputy County Manager Johanna Berg to kick us off.
Thank
grateful we are for the opportunities this week to showcase Workforce Solutions YouthWorks, as well as it being the initiative of focus for the NACO mobile the NACO board meetings mobile tour. And to that point, each of you has a folder in front of you that is the folder that will be handed out to folks at the mobile tour. So advance copy for each of you. Really a nice job done by our team on that. I think we can dive into the agenda then, if it's going to come up. There we go. Thank you. Ling will be providing a background and an overview on Secretary Perez's roundtable on Thursday, as well as a preview of the mobile tour and updates on a number of programs. The goals we have today are to provide those updates to you, to share the agenda and the preview of the coming attractions for Thursday, and to get your feedback as we move forward. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ling.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, Deputy County Manager O'Connor, Board. Grateful to be here with our team here and some of our community partners to talk about this amazing opportunity that we've been given. I want to give a little bit of background as to how we got here today with your ARPA investments. We really focused on who was being impacted by COVID-19 around the economic disparities within our community. From our data, we recognize that it was based on race and ethnicity. Our younger population and also those with a high school diploma or less really struggled to rebound and were most COVID impacted as well. We focused on investing in learn and earn models, and we've talked to you about that a little bit last week. And we focused on removing barriers to employment. And so today we're going to dive a little deeper into our Driver's License Academy with some of our guests as well. And on a bigger picture, we really were working on trying to align and support a more cohesive and coordinated workforce ecosystem. And so we've really used ARPA money to help us kind of be the glue for some of the work that's happening within the community. And I think that's where some of the conversations about sustainability is really possible, is we're really changing the narrative on how an ecosystem functions. And so, and just to remember too, this is a co-investment with the City of St. Paul. So collectively, we co-invested $23 million. We also had the fortunate opportunity through the ARPA work to partner with the Brookings Institution, and so there will be a representative from Brookings at our events on Thursday, both with Tom Perez and with the mobile tour. They've been really critical at helping us understand how to create kind of sustainable, coordinated efforts within communities. So we work closely with the City of Cleveland, with the Detroit metro area too, to understand some of the challenges of trying to create more of a hub and spoke model. And so if you go to your folder and pull out that real hardcover document in there, if you go to the back, these are our YouthWorks sites. And what we really are trying to demonstrate that is like you can come through one door of YouthWorks, but the services are actually provided out in the community. It's that, we are the front door, but we don't actually have to have all those things happen in a county building or even funded by the county for it to be coordinated. And so that is one of the big themes that we've been working on. So we work specifically on this. I really appreciate the Senior Advisor Perez coming because of his role as intergovernmental relations for the president, really seeing that we invested this money across multiple, couple jurisdictions and some of the challenges but opportunities of doing better government that way as well. But this has really helped us kind of strengthen our partnership with the city. So what is YouthWorks, you might want to know. So back in 2019, this is before the pandemic, we recognized that the workforce ecosystem is really scattered. And in some ways it still is that way today because of the way workforce programs are funded. Based on the state and even other federal funds that come in, there's a lot of organizations that get funded on different timetables. They get funded for different programs, and programs come and go. And sometimes it's hard for people who need services to figure out how to find those services. And so we've really worked on trying to create that glue and coordination for residents and for people who support young people to be able to find those most immediate resources. So we're, as one of the big themes that we're working on is more coordination and less competition. And so realizing that there are some things that we can actually provide for all the providers in the ecosystem that are really it's a great role for the county to lead in because it reduces duplication for other people. So as we dive into the driver's license, you're going to hear about that being one of those. We don't need every organization in Ramsey County that has a training program trying to solve for driver's licenses. We'd like to even move away into that direction for something like financial literacy. It's something that is provided in a lot of programs, but it gets funded over and over again, recreated over and over again. And so we want to think about what are these pillars of workforce development that the county can lead in. So one thing that we really try to center on with YouthWorks is the voice of young people and also the people who provide services. So as part of our work with Brookings, we did a surveying with our participants as well as young people in the community through community engagement, but also met with a lot of community partners. When Brookings came for on-site visits for a couple of days during the time we were rolling out this project, we met with over 100 different organizations in a day. We met with a group of funders, we met with a group that was interested in entrepreneurship, and we met with community-based providers that were doing workforce training as well, and we heard from all of those groups. So one of the main things around YouthWorks is to really just create this one door. The door isn't a physical location. It's not necessarily all provided by the same people, but the county gets to act as that conduit to sort of lead people to all those programs. And so we really want to make sure we're centering young people in all the things that we're doing. We're constantly working and talking with young people, and we have some of them here today that you're going to hear from. We want to make sure we're always centering equity and also quality. I mean, it's really important that we're always thinking about not only the quality of jobs, but also the quality of training and the services, because it can be sometimes hard for young people and those who care for them to figure out, what's out in the ecosystem and what is a good program. And so we try to have some input into that too. So when I spoke about the pillars, this is some of the, these are the kind of the core pillars that the county has been investing in. Employer engagement. We've heard from providers that they do not need to all be engaging with the employer community. We can do that a little more collectively as an ecosystem. We're also building connections. We've had multiple networking events, opportunities for people to learn best practices, and it's a way to share our knowledge collectively across the workforce ecosystem without everyone having to reinvent the wheel over and over again and do it themselves. And actually, a lot of times when we bring providers together, they're building partnerships amongst themselves, and the county doesn't even have to play a direct role. We're just the conduit to get people in a room to share good ideas. We also work on removing barriers together. So that is that driver's license piece that we'll dive into. We also focus really intentionally on opportunity youth. And so we've done, we're working on a project right now with our community corrections that I'll allude to in a minute, and also with our judges around trying to create that front door for young people who are on probation. We also are going to dive into the foster care youth, and also within our department we have young people who are pregnant and parenting, and then also the housing unstable youth. So all those opportunity youth, we sometimes just kind of treat them all the same, when really they all have somewhat unique needs in like the type of partnerships that have to be built in order to support them appropriately. And then lastly is the future of work. We're excited. On Monday we have our first future of work event for our ecosystem around the green economy. But we have to sort of, as a county, accelerate the thinking of our both our providers, the people who are training, teachers, young people, on the changing nature of work and different career pathways and industries. And if the county doesn't take that lead role, it's more difficult for small organizations or even other organizations to kind of do it on their own. So we've taken a real role on trying to understand the future of work as well. So, so this is also some of the other services that we provide. So what does it mean to have this front door and hub? So we provide an orientation that we provide every month to anyone in Ramsey County. It doesn't matter if you are a teacher, if you are a football coach, if you are a parent, you can attend this orientation and get a mile wide and an inch deep on workforce services in Ramsey County. And so to me, that's a really powerful thing, that if you touch a young person in our community, that you know kind of that there are these services out there and where to find them, and what are kind of the pillar organizations that are here to serve. We also have been providing employer training for supervisors for free for Ramsey County employers. So we work with all the chambers right now within our community and the cities to share this information out, but we offer once a month supervisory training. We heard from young people over and over again that, that first supervisor, those first couple of folks that really help you enter into the workforce, they're so critical in terms of the way they treat you and sort of support you and mentor you. And so this is all youth-led, these trainings, and so we provide that. We also have a newsletter that we send out every month. You probably get that, but that's like to kind of connect all that ecosystem. And then we're starting these Unleash employment fairs, which we talked to you about last week, to make sure, again, that there literally is a physical place where there is a front door. So it's kind of both an abstract in the sense of, we are forming the connective tissue out into the community, but there also are physical spaces and places where we're making sure the best programs are available for people to find. So I'm going to go just real briefly into the President Biden's Advisors Roundtable. We're going to be hosting this Thursday at 10 a.m. We're excited to host the senior advisor to the White House, and also he is the Director of Intergovernmental Affairs. We are going to actually have a roundtable with Mr. Perez, with young people and some of the training providers in the room. And so we're going to let the young people share their stories. It's really impactful that we're going to be at Osborne 370. We have 3 organizations that we're featuring in that innovation space. And it's really a change of mindset, thinking young people are our future and driven by like the importance of connections and be able to be in these entrepreneurial spaces rather than being in like a corner of a basement of a school or a community center. Like we want them rubbing shoulders with people who are movers and shakers in our community, and that building is one of those places. And so you're going to hear from some of the young people who work out of there today. So, and then the rest of the time here, we want to give you a little overview of the NACO mobile tour. And so here's the agenda for the event. Some of the commissioners that will be at the Intercontinental Hotel will be joining on a bus to actually make it a mobile tour. That's the mobile part. I think I'm going to get on a microphone on the bus, and so that's in the works. And so we will give them a little intro to what is St. Paul Ramsey County and workforce development. We're going to get over to 3M, and I just want to take a moment to just thank our partners at 3M. They have been tremendous partners throughout the pandemic. And just to recollect for you, after 2020, they made a $50 million investment into the East Metro over a 4 or 5 year period. And so it's been an iterative effort. So we will be there, one, to thank them for that as well, but they've been a really great thought partner. I know Commissioner McDonough, when he helped lead that work with me, he always thanked them for making multi-million-dollar investment. This wasn't a 1 year investment, and so this was something we kept telling them was how important it was to make a multi-million-dollar investment over a multi-number of years, right? And so that programs could grow and we could get better at delivering them and continue to improve them. They picked several different buckets of work that they invested in. They invested in money for the Minnesota State system to create better career pathways with our St. Paul Public Schools. They actually invested in St. Paul Public Schools with the Career Pathway Center, which is located right on the campus of St. Paul College. So the county's been very involved in that as well. And then they also invested in grant making through their partnership with the United Way. But also the last thing is they came to us at the county and said, how should we best deploy funds into the east side to grow employment opportunities? And so from the very get-go, Commissioner Carter, Commissioner McDonough, and I, we were at the table and we helped formulate some of those recommendations on how they deployed those funds, and that's almost unheard of for them, an organization, a philanthropy to come to government like that, and we built that trust together, and that, I continued to go to their board meetings as they gave updates. And where we landed was they made a large investment into the Eastside Employment Exchange, and that was really one of the best things that they could do, because that is a collective of collaborative of multiple organizations on the east side serving a variety of different people, and so that that money is still really impactful. And actually 3M is kind of wrapping up its investments. I talked to them yesterday. In about a year, they'll have like an impact report. And so we look forward to sharing more about that. But, they were one of the folks that after the murder of George Floyd, they really stepped up for our community and did that, huge investment. So we will be there. That's a long story to get back to this calendar, but or this agenda, but they will join us in welcoming the board of directors at 3M. They also have a very fun innovation center. If you haven't been there, it is a treat. I like to call it their own science museum, really. It literally is a science museum. Omni Theater. I think the folks from throughout the country will enjoy it very much, the opportunity to see the innovation. And yesterday they showed me a map of all the places around the country they have 3M employees, and it is pretty significant around the country, so we'll throw that map up as part of this event. The first thing we're going to do as part of the tour, I don't know if we can go back to the slide, is we're going to do an impactful partnerships panel. And these are really, truly people who have been...
Lane?
Oh, yeah.
County Manager O'Connor wants to interrupt you.
Okay.
I want you to breathe for 1 second. Just one other tie-in to think about, Ling, is we're telling the arc and the narrative. And I appreciate you nailed it on the pieces about the partnerships with the 3M Foundation, how that's come to be and how private capital has come into the market. And we've helped facilitate but not lead, nor tried to lead. Now, that was striking along the way. I was reminded from a conversation with somebody yesterday, potentially around this table, but I was talking to somebody about when the Large Urban Counties Caucus from NACO came to St. Paul, Ramsey County. I think Commissioner Moran and I were talking about this yesterday. And that was back 2015, I think, if I remember the timeline correct. And the focus of the conversation in 2015 was on the strength of public-private partnerships in this region. And that's when Commissioner McDonough was the chair of LUC. So the one reason I say that is we can bend an arc here that also shows that the conversations that were heard by some of these folks likely attending back in 2015, they're not just theoretical partnerships that were being talked about, and this is an on-the-ground manifestation of that type of work showing up. So it just was in my mind yesterday because Commissioner Moran and I were talking about it. It's a neat piece to the story arc here of that was the last time NACO came to town. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, County Manager. So we're going to lead off with a panel that if we can go to one more slide over, everyone's going to attend the Impactful Partnership slide. So we're excited to have Councilmember Tolbert, who's been he's kind of nearing his last weeks here in his role, but he's been pretty instrumental in the City of St. Paul and County partnership. Marcus Pope, who can't be with us today, but Christy Schneider is here to share on Youth Prize's behalf. But they have been a true thought leader and help push us in doing some of this work in such a positive way. And so that partnership is absolutely critical to have kind of a public policy partner like Youth Prize that's so youth-focused and youth-centric. And then Dr. Gothard, I can't even express the amount of partnership we do with the St. Paul Public Schools, but it's a demonstration of when we don't really care who gets credit. We really advanced a lot of work throughout the pandemic. We just supported each other. And so I wanted to pick people who, for the other counties that are listening, that they might be able to find kind of a mirror partner and be able to garner some lessons as to how they could kind of build this out. And I think they're going to have a lot to share. And then obviously, I had mentioned we have our partner from Brookings who will join us, but she's going to just really focus on what they're seeing here that is unique compared to what they're seeing nationally and how we're making an impact. So really excited about this panel. And then there's just basically going to be 2 rotations. Folks will have a chance to go visit the Innovation Center, as we mentioned, and during the off times, they will have a chance to go to these showcases. And so we're going to take an hour as part of the showcases to highlight 5 of our new programs that were expanded with ARPA investments. Each program will be co-presented by a county staff and a community partner to really demonstrate that message of impactful partnerships, Commissioner McGuire, as your theme here moving forward. And then, we're going to include an overview, a reasoning for the investment, and the program impact. And then we're also going to be at the breakfast networking the next day. So in case people want to continue to, ask questions, they can do that on Friday morning. So, so the 5 programs we're going to focus our efforts on is the Young Adult Career Academy, which you guys know a lot about, so I'm not going to go into detail about today. We do have one slide in here. Our Learn and Earn, which you heard about last week. The Power Within Us, which is that project that we do with community corrections and the judges, which actually came out of TST. So there's some good stories about that I'll get to in a minute. And then we're gonna focus a little bit about Driver's License Academy and our partnership with Road Trip Nation and Lens 360 because we have some guests in the room today. So real quick, the Career Academy, you are very familiar with it, so I'm not gonna go into detail, but that's gonna be one of the quick showcases. But I wanted to highlight this stat of as we're thinking about impact. We paid out $172,000 in wages through our Young Adult Career Academy thus far. So that's money into the pockets of young people in our community. And then on top of that, there was another $60,000 of support services through that program so far. So those are things that really are impactful because you saw all the other impacts around the connections they made, the job opportunities, the networking, the exposure, the citizenship sort of being elevated, right? But then there's also the real piece of people putting money into their pockets during a time of, needing to support their families. We shared last week about Earn and Learn as part of the strategic priorities, so no need to go into too much detail here, but that will be one of the showcases. Actually, we're bringing health partners and the union that's through a program there that we're doing with the Minnesota Training Partnership. So I'm trying to get all the names right of the acronyms, but we're going to be focusing on healthcare as part of that Learn and Earn showcase. But we expect to serve 600 young people through that program. We've had a lot of graduations thus far already. I'm going to spend a little more time on Power Within Us because I know you haven't heard a ton about this, but the seeds of this were really through TST. And it's one of the side things that kind of bubbled up that was really positive out of TST. It really was leaders sitting next to each other that normally don't spend time together as much as we should. It was Monica Long, the corrections director, and Judge Castro, and I happened to sit at a table together. And, during TST and during one of the off times, we were like, what can we do together? And so besides all the stuff we were doing in TST, we had lunch, we sat down, we drew something literally on the back of a napkin, and this is the project that we leaned into. So it is a front door for young people who are on probation. It is a Learn and Earn model that they can come and be referred to through Healing Streets, through probation officers, through the community. And in that room are immediate resources that support them. And so we've been thrilled about the partnership. We actually had Deputy County Manager Berg and Deputy County Manager Hadeen join us for a mock session. We kind of brought probation officers in and did a mock session to kind of work out some of the opportunities with this program. But really want to thank the other departments in their partnership. And we're happy to say that 30% of young people who walked through that door got engaged with something. And for young people who are on probation in Ramsey County, that's actually a pretty important number. So in the past, again, you could be some young person on probation, literally wandering, around Ramsey County trying to think of what program might be a good fit for you. The judges are grateful. They don't have to think about what is the best program today in this particular moment. They can just say, check out the Power Within. We know Workforce Solutions is going to curate that room with the right resources every month for you. So everybody can point to an actual physical space, date, and time and during the month. And so we're really excited to continue to expand that program. All right, so next I'm going to turn it over to Christy Cobbs to talk a little bit about, or Christy Schneider, if you can come up, and Jody Nelson from Change Inc. They're our community partners here. They're going to maybe introduce themselves, and then Christy, if you could start off here. If you need your slides, they're right here. Can you see them on the screen? Or maybe?
No, because that's
okay. Here you go. Yeah, do you want to introduce yourself, Christy?
Hi, sorry I'm not Marcus. He's much more dynamic. So I'll do my best to fill his better shoes. So I am Christy Snyder. I work at Youth Prize. And we are an organization, a statewide intermediary, where our sole purpose is to increase equity for the state's young people, generally 15 to 24, sometimes 26, and really think through how we can do that. We partner with young people in order for us to really understand what they're going through and what they need to have happen to make their lives the lives they want to live. And so we do that. I don't see you. Sorry. Sorry. So we do center youth. We do advance equity. We think about resources, so we partner with the state to bring in more resources to different sorts of organizations of all sizes, pilot different opportunities, thinking about this last legislative session, we went for direct cash transfers for youth experiencing homelessness in Hennepin and St. Louis counties. Still hopeful we'll get Ramsey County in on this action as well. And we're always focused on impact that is meaningful to young people. And so we start with young people, and we always think about the results not for what is important to the olds, but what's important to young people. And some people don't like it when I say olds, but it's better in that way. We think about, it destigmatizes, right? Oftentimes we think about young people and they feel a certain kind of way about that. We think about building power, advancing their economic power, and thinking about health and healing. And so that could be mental health, we do nutrition work, but really we are focused on changing systems. And so when Ling and I first met, we were thinking about, I was still thinking about how we get people into industries where they want to live their best lives. And so it was a very early conversation with the WIB that said, like, we need more people in construction. And I said, well, that's not going to happen because they don't have their driver's licenses. And people keep trying to think about it without actually listening to young people. We gutted it from schools. It's no longer there. And so like thinking with Ling and her team, thinking broadly, this becomes a solution for a lot of families that don't have that economic way to make sure that that happens. And you can see across public safety, young people are not, they're continuing to drive without licenses. And so racking up fines and fees and being in a different system altogether. So this becomes an important workforce credential that we'll continue to work for. We all think about the ways that we partner in an iterative way with young people that we continue to center and bring them forward. So we're excited about what's coming. We have some other things like with Ling at the helm and thinking about Opportunity Youth, which is my full job, is thinking about Opportunity Youth, thinking about young people in foster care. How do we expend that? How do we think about youth experiencing homelessness? That's an area that we are continuing to drive for. But we're excited to be partners with an innovative county such as Ramsey County that's thinking outside the box, thinking with young people, not for them, but with. So we're grateful to be at the table and grateful to be the container which young people can stand.
So some of the barriers, that we have found with driver's licenses include accessibility, cost, the structure of DPS. Like I like to tell a story, my daughter's now almost 18, but a couple of years ago during the pandemic, we were doing that driver's license. And I mean, it takes a lot of coordinating and resources to be able to get a driver's license in this state, even with somebody who, deals with systems every day. And so, we really just felt compelled after seeing data and sort of the policy work that Youth Prize was doing to sort of make our case on why this was an important ARPA investment. And so if we go to the next slide here, not having a driver's license can just create a whole cascade of issues. It blocks employment, which was definitely, where Christy and I started with that conversation, but also limits housing options. And it really, just stops young people from having economic mobility. And so if we want to go to the next slide, Christy. So one thing we always were doing throughout the pandemic was using labor market information. And so you will see that throughout the pandemic, there were some peaks and valleys in a given month, but you can see that the number of driver's licenses required for job postings continues to rise. And so this is actually a workforce credential. It is not a, I'm going to go and socialize with my friends, or, having a license is not just a want. It's a necessity for our economic growth and prosperity. And so I'm going to let Christy describe a little bit more about our program.
Yeah, thanks everyone. As Ling said, the Driver's License Academy supports young folks ages 18 to 24 who are on career pathways that require them to have a driver's license. So when you hear what Christy says about construction, we hear from a lot of young folks that they are interested in fields like construction, automotive, manufacturing, healthcare, but those positions, you can't even get into a training program most times without having your driver's license ahead of time. And so this academy really supports those young folks where they're at. It's an individual service. So we help young people obtain their permit. Everyone in Minnesota has to have a permit. Like Ling said, when I started working on this project a year ago, I was like, I had no idea it was so difficult to get a driver's license. And so every young person has to have a permit for either 3 months or 6 months, depending on how old they are. So we provide support with one-on-one tutoring for that permit test or small group tutoring in the community. We partner with 5 different driving schools in Ramsey County that provide behind-the-wheel lessons for participants, and they are required to complete at least 6 hours of behind-the-wheel. We get requests often for more than 6 hours, which we pay for because our goal is to help them feel comfortable and confident to pass their driver's test. So we don't limit them to how many hours that they can take. We also just have a new driving school that is offering virtual reality simulation. So for drivers that are new, who've never been on the road, this is an opportunity for them to have a real life driving experience before they get behind the wheel of a car. And one of the other important things that the Academy has done is supported the expansion of 5 new permit testing sites in Ramsey County. So prior to the Academy starting, there was one place in Ramsey County where you could get your permit. It was downtown. I think it's open Monday through Friday from like 8 to 3:30. And so if you weren't available during that time, you weren't able to get your permit. So with support of our community partners, sites at Gap School, Neighborhood House, Face to Face, Sienna, and New Step Transition Program are offering permit testing to their students. And 2 of those organizations, once they sort of work out the kinks, will open it up to the broader community where anyone can take their permit at those sites. And then, as we heard Christy mention, like, why the investment in driver's license? This is not offered in schools anymore like it was in the past. It's very expensive. It's privatized. The driving schools are the ones that are doing both the instruction and the behind the wheel. We already talked about the connection to work and how it is a workforce credential. The other thing we hear often from our participants is the lack of a vehicle. So living in an urban community, they don't necessarily have access to somebody in their family that has a car that can take them out and do the practice hours required. And so that component has been our most requested service, is the actual access to a vehicle. And then, of course, the increased wages. So we know that Ramsey County has a lot of opportunities in manufacturing that pay high wage, high demand jobs, but those are often located in suburban Ramsey County, not on a bus line, often run 3 shifts. And so if you have to have a driver's license to get some of those opportunities. And then, again, I don't think we can reiterate enough how important it is for young people who are looking for in-demand jobs to have a driver's license. I was actually looking at how many of the current openings in Ramsey County require a driver's license right now, and I just briefly looked, and there are several. Parks and Rec requires a driver's license. There's a medical assistant position open right now that requires a driver's license. So without that, those jobs are virtually inaccessible to a large portion of our community. And I'll just say, currently we have over 200 young people that we're supporting in the Driver's License Academy at various stages, through getting their permit to doing behind the wheel. And I just got an email when I was sitting at the board meeting from another young person that said, I just passed my driver's license test yesterday. And so every day I get an email from a young person saying that they have accomplished something that they've been working for a very long time. And I'm going to turn it over to Jody.
Sure.
Just a
quick question. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question on the driver's license program. I love it. I think it's amazing. Thank you all for everything you're doing on it. Just curious, because some jobs, they require a driver's license, but kids don't have cars even, but they provide a car. These jobs provide vehicles.
So
some jobs do, some jobs don't. So
even
you're still going to need a vehicle sometimes if you need a driver's license. Right?
Yes, and so that is part of, our sort of next steps is that car ownership piece. Yeah. I will say that Parks and Rec requires a driver's license for most of the positions here. You don't need to have your own vehicle. You just need to be able to drive Ramsey County Park and Rec vehicle to get from one place to another. So the car ownership is, an important piece, but there are still several positions that, you just need to be able to drive that company vehicle.
Thank you.
Have we collected data just on folks who have gone through the program and maybe what they might have been earning before the program and what they're earning a year later or whatnot to just sort of track the outcome of that investment?
Thanks for the question, Madam Chair. We are working with as part of the ARPA programs, we have to do evaluation. So that's actually a great suggestion. So we'll continue to push on that too. Thank you.
Hi, Jody Nelson, Executive Director of Change Inc. Just a little bit of context. Change Inc. is a merged agency. We merged in 2018 with Guadalupe Alternative Programs. That program was started on the West Side in 1967 by Sister Giovanni Gorhan. And Change Inc. was a group primarily in Minneapolis with roots to the City Inc., doing some stuff around racism and poverty. We merged, took the Change Inc. as the umbrella name, and we administer Guadalupe Alternative Programs, or GAP School. Still on the West Side, it's not moving. We did look to move, and the residents said, no, you can move, but you have to be on the West Side. So there we are. So we've been there for a long time. Currently, our school has about 120 students. We are a SAP, a state-approved alternative program, accredited, and we are contracted with St. Paul Public Schools. Our graduates get St. Paul Public School diplomas. We also braid in some adult basic ed funding. The majority of our students right now are immigrant, refugee, asylees. English is a second language, and then our other population are young people that are involved in the justice system, and some with low literacy. So that's our group. Our students earn a high school diploma. They also, when they graduate, have earned an industry-recognized certificate in either construction or a health career pathway. And we are a youth build program. We're funded through Department of Labor. We're also funded through DEED to provide youth build, which is basically education, mentoring, leadership development, and career pathway. We build our own community. We build and renovate houses on the West Side, and then they are sold to people who are experiencing low income. And away we go. And we've had a couple of you, Commissioner Moran and Ortega, who visited our last house that we built that was a very green build. It was so green, it was really, really green, and at a time where green stuff was kind of expensive. And after we sold the realtor was a Karen graduate of the program, sold the program. We also got an award from the National Green Council for how green that place was. So we're on the second build for that. I just want to say that I do anything that Ling or Christy tells me to do. And I'm assuming you all do the same thing. And so, when we talk, the word partnership has been used so many times in the last little bit of time here. And, you know, we're funded again at DOL, DEED, school districts, all that. This is truly a partnership. And I don't experience that in a lot of other relationships that we have with funders and what have you. I really experience partnership with this group of women here. And what that means is they're just very responsive. I don't know if this is a good thing, but Ling will answer your emails on the weekend, which I appreciate. If you need one of those dreaded letters of support, Ling will get it to you within a day. And so, you know, so it really is. And I think, and around the particular to the driver's license piece, you know, we're there just doing our business, like, you know, removing barriers to success, bringing, okay, we'll fix the next thing, fix the next thing. And I feel that same kind of problem-solving responsiveness on the part of Ling and her team and Christy and Youth Prize is, you know, what's the next barrier? How do we remove that? And I was talking with the staff the closest to this project, the driver's license. I said, well, give me some stuff because I don't know anything. And she says, well, you know, Christy called and said, what do you need? And that just struck me how few times I have picked up the phone from a funder or the public schools or the city or whatever and had somebody ask me, what is it that you need? But these guys asked us what we need. And so I just think that's pretty incredible. And it means that we're going to do some really good things for young people and their families and communities. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jody. And commissioners, just to give you a little context, that piece of property for the house is, it was bought from the county as tax forfeited property. It's an acre. And I think you're in the process of building the second home, right? But the plans are to do 4 homes there. And so all the young people, not all, but many of them get swiped away by Anderson Windows or different businesses right away when they graduate. But we're just thrilled about the partnership and the types of jobs. And these are young people that would often fall through the cracks in traditional schools. And so really grateful for Youth Build presence here in Ramsey County on the west side. The last thing I'll just say is this project has really helped us see kind of like when you layer, you know, we don't actually fund a lot of the GAP school programs. It's actually funded through other mechanisms through the federal government and the state, but they are always at the table with us. So I gave you that example of the power within like room, right, where the judges or probation officers refer people. GAP school is always there. And so to me, that just shows that, you know, we create that kind of ecosystem and we don't have to fund all the programs. We actually are that connective tissue that bring people together to connect with our residents or young people who are on our systems. And so just thank you, Jody, for your staff who always show up, and really, really just grateful for your partnership too. So, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna move us on to our last showcase. We have some guests here with Youth Lens 360.
Before we move on.
Sure.
I just want to interrupt you one more time.
Right, go for it. I was looking down, not up.
If I do it now, I won't do it this weekend. So, I also just want to acknowledge, you know, as board members are talking to other commissioners, the foresight in including workforce solutions in economic growth and community investment stands out in that presentation you just heard, because there are links to housing and transit development. I mean, part of it is how do you help people in today's world get to jobs? But the other part of it is, if you live in a world in which a driver's license is required to make everything accessible, you're not building the equitable world you want to build. And it gets to why our county's investments in transportation options matter so much, all abilities, transportation networks. It gets to why the housing investments matter. It just really stands out with that presentation of both build for the present and work within the present and look toward the future at the same time. And I really appreciate how clearly that shines in the way you present.
I agree. Madam Chair, if I could, yes, thank you, County Manager and Director Becker. I love that thought that we should probably talk about that. Sure. The way we're set up in Ramsey County is with these service teams that put you in with these different groups, because that's unusual. I mean, that is not the case in most of the other counties that I've come in contact with in the country. And you know, when we first did it, you know, I was telling everybody about it. We have the service team model. It's the best thing ever. We can work together. We can coordinate, break down those silos. Mm-hmm. So maybe we want to just put, if you don't mind, putting that in your opening remarks, because that is something that I'm sure will hit them all. I mean, I think a lot more counties have these silos set up, so thanks for bringing that up.
Madam Chair, Commissioner McGuire, Ling, you have to do it. I was trying to figure out my talking points with Commissioner McGuire for one of the morning things when we kick it off, and I think she just helped us write them on the fly.
Okay, I think that's what you should talk about. No, it's so brilliant.
Well, and anyone's ever seen one of my presentations, we always have this slide, like our team knows that where we show where we are on the circle, right? And that's a huge reason why, structures matter, and those that was a really amazing, structural orientation that has made an impact in this county. So thank you for calling that out, all of you.
As much as we can.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to turn over to Rachel, who's going to kind of take us home with this last showcase.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Road Trip Nation, and I'll talk a little bit about the cohort, but then I'm going to let the cohort talk about themselves. So we, as another one of our ARPA investments, partnered with Road Trip Nation. Road Trip Nation is a national nonprofit organization that focuses on storytelling primarily through documentary and video production. And so they're developing what they call a hub for us, a customized Ramsey County St. Paul webpage that will feature local professionals telling their stories and their journeys to their current path. The hub will also offer connections. So there's 8 spots for links on the hub that will link to pages like our Learn and Earn webpage, where young people can then get directly connected into programming that's available in the community. And so we are so lucky that Road Trip Nation pursued a partnership with Youth Lens 360, which you'll hear more about, really to develop very localized content. This is new for Road Trip Nation. They have not done this before, where they've partnered with a on-the-ground production agency, especially not one that really focuses on young people and curating their voice into the content. And so, again, I'll let Youth Lens talk a little bit, but the folks who are developing the vast majority of the content for the webpage are young people that are hired on into the 6-month paid training program with Youth Lens. Those young people receive video production equipment, editing, storytelling training. They meet with the national staff out of Road Trip Nation, which is based in Southern California, every month in a Zoom, and they train them and talk about different video production topics. And then they also get a lot of information about sort of leadership and meditation and mental health as well. And so if you see on the left-hand side of the screen, so that is a snapshot of what the page will look like. So if you see there, that's Shawnee. Shawnee owns Flava Cafe. And so she was one of our featured professionals in the sort of first round that we did. And so every professional that is featured will have a page. There's a longer video, there's clips of videos, and then it tells a little bit about their story. So it talks about what their background, their education, what are the barriers that they overcame to get to where they are. So again, why the investment? So we know that young people often have had very limited opportunities to see folks who look like them in some of these roles. And so this is really a chance for young people to see themselves represented in the work and to learn more about what opportunities exist locally, and that those pathways often look non-traditional to get to those roles. Again, a coordinated resource hub was one of the other things that we really wanted to focus on. Again, we know that there are tons of opportunities, information, lots of different websites out there. If you Google youth employment, Ramsey County, you're going to get a ton of stuff. And so, again, like Ling referenced earlier, really having a front door where young people and those who support them, teachers, parents, coaches, youth pastors, any folks in the community can point young people to. Again, really with the cohort, that holistic supports is critical. I will let them talk more about the work that they're doing. And again, really why we're so excited about it is the content on the site, the video content, is being influenced, shaped, developed, produced, edited by young people here locally. And so over the course of the ARPA time period, there will be 40 to 50 young people who will get trained and work experiences on the cohort. Again, we really will be sharing this out with our partners, our school partners, our other community-based organization partners. Like Ling said, we don't need everyone to try to do this on their own. We want to share out the work that we're doing for everyone to access. And again, really we'll be showcasing a variety of professions and opportunities here locally. So the plan is to have 15 to 20 of those pages that you saw before up with local professionals through 2026. And so here's a quick snapshot of who has been interviewed thus far and who has upcoming interviews. Thank you, Commissioner Zhang. She has agreed to be interviewed for the site. We're really excited to, again, have more and more young professionals added to this and more young people moving into those roles. And so I am going to pull the video up, and then while we're doing that, maybe we'll invite Dario and the cohort up, and then they can share a little bit about their experience.
We're gonna watch a video first, maybe?
Yeah, I pulled it down. Did it get changed over?
No, it didn't. Well, Dario, you want to come up while we try to figure that out?
Let's see.
Thank you. And young people could come too. Have them all come up and introduce themselves.
Well,
Yeah, you want to do that? Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Hello, how are you? So, first of all, I just want to say, like, I don't know if you guys understand how important driver's license is. That's not what I'm here to talk about. But I've worked with young people for over 15 years now, and one of the hardest things to do is when you have a productive young person. One of the most successful young people I have that owns 2 businesses now, married, 4 kids, and a productive community member, had 13 driving without a license, felonies because of it, and multiple young people, this is how you get your first, unfortunately, you get into the criminal justice system. It starts with driving without a license. So I don't know if you guys know how important it is. But it's important to talk about that because what we're doing with video production and storytelling is really allowing for young people to have an experience to be able to step into worlds that they don't normally get invited into, right? So it might be video camera, it might be storytelling, it might be learning high-end technology, it might be getting access to this technology to take home. But at the end of the day, what it really is the wraparound, right? Like the ability to be able to take yourself to a first networking event, to be able to meet a CEO or somebody who is working at a company and shake their hand and do an interview and dive deeper into the story about how they got there. Because if you can't see it, then you can't be it, right? We know that saying. And so young people that are in this journey of like, how do I even start? Often don't find this in the schools. You don't find that in your education system. And so to be able to provide stories like this online on a hub, to be able to see that young people are doing the interview, so young people speak their own language of like, oh, okay, so I saw somebody I know that looks like me, that wears the same clothes as me, that has the same hairstyle as me, talking to this professional, I'm more apt to listen to what they're talking about. So it's key and essential into the storytelling process and why it's important that they're here at the table doing this. And then investing back into the community, right? So being able to allow them to, receive pay, not have to work a 40-hour week, but be able to learn, at their own pace, to be able to dive into a curriculum that speaks a language that they speak, and to be able to talk to other young people about this experience and motivate them to be able to participate in these programs that you guys are developing. So right now, you guys have a little bit of street credibility with people because, Ramsey County is actually doing the work with people that actually are, out here trying to make a change every day. And so, often, this is seen as like young people are seen as like a deficit, right? But I think what we've been able to see is they bring such a value to not only the storytelling process, but to the community in which they walk around in every day. So we're located at Osborne 370. So if you know the building, high-end tech companies, high-end founders, right? You got the Center of Economic Inclusion, Greater MSP is moving over there. You have the mayor just hangs out sometimes and walks in the lobby and grabs a coffee. Like these people are moving and shaking in spaces. And now you have young people from the community that walk in or they have office space, a desk, computers. They're in the lobby with cameras. They're getting jobs because they know somebody that they met at the lunch area, downstairs. And now they're doing headshots for them in their company because they had this technology that they have access to. So all these things are happening just because of the space and the access to the space. And also the young people are taking advantage of it because they always had the skills. They always had that ability to do this. They just never had the invite to be able to walk in the door and not feel like they were a nuisance in the skyway or that they weren't a productive person that, was at the bus stop, So taking some of these barriers down and being able to open these doors is really what's going on. Did you get the video queued up?
Yep.
All right, cool. So I'll let y'all see that, and then I'll invite the young people up to tell you a little bit about their journey over the last 6 months.
Yep. We need whoever in the back to turn it on.
My mind messed up. But once I started getting into it, I'm super competitive. So I'm like, man, like my whole family was telling me like, you need to go to college, or you need to go to the Army, you need to do this. And that's what had like my mind messed up. But once I started getting into it, I'm super competitive. So I'm like, man, I wanna be one of the best. Like, you know what I'm saying? I wanna be known. Like,
How I got engaged politically, it's always been a part of my life, just being Puerto Rican. Coming from a family that migrated from Puerto Rico to New York City, to then me being Puerto Rican, born in Minnesota, out of a movement of social justice and human rights.
I felt so close to the work. I felt so close to the leaders, and not just the leaders, but what I like to call worker bees, like people who are literally doing the work.
So my favorite part of the cohort is the experience. It's all about the experience that I wouldn't get if I was just a regular person coming here.
My biggest growth / learning moment, I would say, is probably like learning the entrepreneurship side of business and really just like the evolved mindset of like business and working and stuff like that.
I would say my biggest learning experience during the cohort is learning how to persevere through challenges and learning how to stick to one thing on your path and master that and then move to the next thing.
It was really good. It was really good to meet different types of people that you wouldn't normally meet doing other things. So I think it was a good way to involve youth and bring us into these spaces.
Being exposed to every walks of life and being able to see the inner workings of the hierarchy, right? Being able to meet the mayor and being able to meet judges and being able to meet senators and county workers and commissioners. It's been eye-opening to be able to see how the inner working is and how relational everything really is.
I actually really love the curriculum and what Road Trip Nature has to offer because I've been working on writing my own movies and books and stuff like that, so help like certain things that came in the curriculum and came in the Road Trip Nation interviews and also the Zoom meetings we was doing. It helped me as to bring aspects into what I need to be doing in my movies and my books and stuff like that. So it just gave me a direction, a sense of direction.
I would say first, anybody looking to get into film, this is the place to be.
I would just like to say, if you are a dreamer, if you have a dream, show up on time for your dreams every time.
I just want to say thank y'all, like, so much. I appreciate y'all so much for taking this chance on me and what I could be in life. And I couldn't even thank y'all enough, so I appreciate you.
The experience with the E3L cohort and Dario and working with Dario and Norman, it was very motivational. I actually look up to both of them as mentors, and it was a good experience, like overall. Positive vibes the whole time.
That's what we need in the community, right? So E3L, we're here to stay.
Meeting the mayor it was kind of epic because I was like, this is really the mayor, the black mayor sitting in front of me right now, and we chilling eating chicken in the office on the 12th floor. Man, come on, like I ain't make it yet, but I'm somewhere.
So, commissioners, as the young people come up, I just want to describe the hub a little bit more. I like to call it like a lived experience LinkedIn is what it's going to be. It's going to have videos, it's going to have the journey and kind of the lived experience and the mile markers, but instead of, bachelor's degree and this certification, it's going to be a little bit more deep about like challenges that you've actually turned into opportunities and people who've helped you and how you've navigated systems. And so we're really excited for the young people to be able to share with you a little bit today. And we're going to show that video at the NACO. That's kind of the closing showcase piece. So.
Thank you. Yep, and the video, the first three people that you saw, they're actually people that we are doing interviews on. And then the young people, they put it together. So I'll let them talk a little bit about their experience over the last 6 months. And this is the first group out of 6 that will go through the process over the next 3 years. Introduce yourself.
My name is Arnea Agnew. I usually go by Ari. Thanks. I usually go by Ari, but, I'm gonna just say how I feel about the whole experience. It was honestly a life-changing thing for me. It was like, cause I was going through a really, really tough time when I started, and I thought I wasn't gonna finish, but you know, here I am. I pushed through. They helped me push through. They was just motivating me the whole time, and it was just like we turned into a family. It was complete strangers. Like I didn't know these people at all, and we turned into a family like immediately, and it was just so strong how I felt about the whole situation because I didn't think nobody was going to be there to take that chance on me and believe in me like I believed in myself. Like I believe in myself 100% and I feel like I can do it. But when I was at that low point, somebody else believed in me and that's what brought me to where I am and that's where it's going to take me to where I'm going to go, you know. So again, I want to say I appreciate them so much. Norman, Dario, my cohort members, everybody that made this happen, everybody that made this able, you know. It's like, it's kind of emotional for me, but I just love everybody that helped me.
Can you just ask him to tell how you found out about it? Like, how did you get to this place?
I actually went on a field trip with school and I had a conversation with Dario, and then on another field trip he called me one day and was like, yeah, I just want to know if you want to be a part of the cohort, and he was telling me about it at the first field trip, and I had already told him at the first field trip, yeah, I'm down, what you mean? So when he called me, I was like, yeah, I'm still down, what you mean? So yeah, it was just like, I ain't gonna lie, it was kind of destiny for me. I feel like. So.
Hello, my name is Damian Vaughn, and I'll just start off with, so for me, my story in joining the cohort was, me personally, I didn't want to go to college, and so my mom, of course, being a black mother, she wants me to be successful, and she's like, okay, that's fine, but we need to find something for you to do. And so luckily she made the connection with Dario because she also works for Nail Partners and they work on the same floor. And so she's like, Dario said you can join if you're interested in the videography stuff. And I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's give it a shot, of course. So I wasn't gonna not take the opportunity, and I've met all these people, and like Ari said, like we've become a family, like we're really close, and like we've all been through stuff. We've been at our lows, we've been at our highs, but it's all been a grateful experience and just being able to grow with each other and learn stuff about business, like networking and entrepreneurship, and just being able to be around other business people and meeting them. And also for me, like I've also been a homebody, so like I don't really like going out to stuff like that. So at first when I would go to networking events, I would be super nervous and I wouldn't really want to go out to the networking events and stuff like that. But the more and more I did them, the more comfortable I've been, and they pushed me, well, Dario and Norman and everybody else in the cohort, they've pushed me to be at my best. So I'm very grateful for their opportunity.
Hi, everybody. My name is Haley Woodard. Everybody calls me Double Hay. How I got started in this entrepreneurship program was I was already working in productions for a company called Creative Minneapolis. I learned a lot of production skills at that company, and I had made a connect with somebody at that productions company, and that's how I met Dario, and the person referred me to work in the cohort. And I feel as if the cohort changed who I am completely. It gave me a whole new point of view on life. Honestly, growing up in an area where it's not safe and there's not a lot of resources for people to be successful, it made my life different because you get around these people who actually care and actually want you to succeed. So it makes you feel different,
And it's like, oh, I like this feeling. I want to keep feeling this feeling every day. I don't want nothing negative, and it's nothing but positive energy every day. And they give us all these resources to flourish and to become successful. No matter what you do, you got to do what you can with the resources to become successful. You got to put the work in. So if you're not using your elbow grease and fighting for what you want, then you're not going to get nowhere. But Dario has given us a chance to become successful. And it's crazy because there should be more programs like this out here, because there's a lot of people struggling to become successful with this epidemic going on with fentanyl as well. Because there's a lot of young people who are in households where this drug is deemed acceptable and they don't have mentors or nobody looking out for them. So it's like a safe haven to me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I didn't think we were gonna go through that today, but I think I think one of the things that is key is like the safe environment, right? It doesn't take much, right? Food, water, shelter. You create the space. You guys have funded for these young people to be able to be paid and to be able to have their access to high-end technology. It's key. In what they got the quote around 85% of the jobs in the future haven't even been thought up yet. So we don't even know what we're training for, right? But you can train around soft skills. You can train around, teamwork, learning how to go into networking events, learning how to pitch yourself, right, to people in the room, speak in front of a room of people that don't know, don't know you from, your first name. That helps you get through the challenges, right? That helps you get through the things around everything, all the resources that there's lack of right now, to be able to come to a space and have people that believe in you and like walk into a building where you know you're accepted instead of just like, hey, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Like to walk into a space where it's like, okay, hey, I see you. You can walk in with your guests. That matters. And I think that the investment goes beyond just paying somebody. Right, it goes beyond just paying for equipment or creating videos. These are just the entry points, and I think what you'll see is, a connection to somebody like a Ling. When you can walk down the street, bump into Ling, or walk down the street and bump into the mayor, and they already know you. What does that do for you? It catapults you to a space that you couldn't even imagine, and then that permeates through the community because they go back to the community and they tell people that Ramsey County's cool and they actually support you and that there's opportunities out here. I mean, it's real. I don't know. You guys tell me. Like, that's how, I mean, we were talking over here in the back about the housing things and all the opportunities and things that people don't even know about. So now you guys got somebody that's going to promote it for you. And, Ricky from the Startup Hustle with the social media and promoting all these things, it will get to the streets, right? It will get to the people that really need it the most. And I think that's what's key.
Thank you, Dario, for your commitment to young people and your partnership. And, thank you to all of you. I mean, we just wouldn't even be here without your commitment to yourselves. So, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So I was listening to everything you guys were saying about all the programs you guys are implementing. I wanted to say something about the driver's license program. I think that would be really compatible to the youth, and they would utilize that service for real, because there's a lot of people who are low income who don't have enough funds to even pay for a driver's license, or like there's a lot of people who are homeless in this right now during this epidemic. There's still an epidemic going on, and it's not just COVID, it's like the fentanyl epidemic and stuff like that, and it's like people are struggling really bad. So like the fact that you guys are really trying to help the youth, because they're the ones we have to worry about most right now. I say that because I look at my son all the time, and I bring him around to these meetings and these groups with me so he can be successful and he can look up like, okay, my mom's putting me in an environment to be successful. So you guys are literally giving kids who don't have a chance to be successful, and it's inspiring. Thank you.
So thank you for the opportunity to dive into a couple of the programs, but obviously we're gonna have a very quick snapshot at the NACO event. So.
Mr. Moran.
So this is awesome. I know I get emotional in a lot of ways just listening to their stories and their transformation. First, can I get that presentation I would like to have that presentation. I have so many notes on this piece of paper here. You know, I'm going to start by opening up what I heard you say, Ling, about the amount of money we spent on supporting youth. You said 172K, 72,000.
That was the Young Adult Career Academy.
That's the Young Adult.
That's just one of the programs.
That's one of the programs. But even within that,
Yep.
you know, that small investment it will have a huge impact, you know, on those individuals, their families, our community, and also our county. And, you know, it's something that we have to, that we must continue to do and do it in a really transformational way. Some of the things that I heard was that, you know, through the testifiers about the young man who said, you know, I'm not comfortable, I wasn't comfortable. But the more I showed up, he became comfortable. And I just want you to know that's my life story of becoming uncomfortable to get comfortable. Because you're going to be in many spaces where you don't feel comfortable. But you keep coming and you keep showing up until you become comfortable and able to lead in that space. That's important. I heard that there's not a lot of resources to be successful. I come from a community that did not have the resources. And that is why the work that we do through a racial equity lens is important. Not just equity, but through a race equity lens. Because there have been communities that has not been invested in, where there are not the resources there for the young people to be successful. You know, that we don't invest into our parks and recs and have activities and events in those places where kids can be, and families can show up and be a part of that. And so the work that we do here in Ramsey County and with communities and for communities through a race equity lens matter, because that has not always been the history of America. And when we do that type of, and come with that type of lens and an investment, we create possibilities out of the impossibilities that we see in people. What I saw a group of people say, I once were invisible and now I'm visible, and now I am being seen. Those things matter to be, that are transformational, that creates outcome. And I am just so happy to be a part of a county that is doing their work that way. It matters. It matters, and it matters for definitely so many ways, because we've learned to listen. We are learning to learn through our partners and others, so that we can be better as a government to support the needs, so people can be self-sufficient. I'm a true believer that when we look at people don't really want to come to government for stuff. They come because they need to. They really want to be self-sufficient. They want to be able to take care of themselves and their family. And that's not always something they can do. So government plays a role to make people's lives better, and we're doing that. I heard you, Lynn, say that you brought a group together and you charted things down on a napkin. And from what you wrote on that napkin, you made it a reality, right? That is just good listening, removing barriers, creating access to a vision that we say we want, and to make that a reality. And so to Dario, thank you for your vision. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for creating a space for young people. Reminded me that I need to show up at 370 a little bit more and just walk those floors and make those connections, because being able to see others see themselves in you and to be able to dream is important, right? And so we got to be a part of moving out of our comfort zone, right? And to do a little bit more, and to do a lot more of how we create spaces and opportunities for people to be able to dream. And so, lean back, I guess can't say, I probably just can't say enough about you and your visionary lens and your transformational lens and your, and your will to be a change maker. You know, I know she pulls me everywhere she goes, and I'm showing up. And I wonder, how does she do this? How do she do this and make these things happen? You know, but you do. You do, and you make it happen, and you do it because you're not doing it alone. It's because you are bringing partners in to do it with them, right? And so I just so appreciate this moment, your leadership, your partners, the community partners, our youth, and the way that Ramsey County is showing up. And may we be an example for the other 86 counties to do their work better and differently and take these risks and look for impact that is not about us doing things for people, but doing things with people. Kudos. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt, and I will note we do have a few more slides to get through.
Oh, we got more.
Just 2.
We got more. Okay.
Okay. Well, and I know that we're on a tight time frame, so you said it so eloquently, I don't know that I can say it better than that, and in fact, I know I can't. But I think not only is this an example, because what we're previewing here today, of course, is what's going to be presented at the National Association of Counties. So not only is it an example for what we need to do more of here, but it will be replicated across the country because of the message that we're getting here. And I guess the other thing that I want to just say for the commissioners, especially the 2 new commissioners, when you wonder what we do, because we go through the budgets, okay, but the budget means we get projects and things like this. So as I know, as a former legislator, you're about policy and moving things forward and empowering. But at the county level is where we do it. And so sometimes when we're making these decisions and we go through 21 different items in the administrative agenda, each one of those things is affecting someone's life and their ability to learn and to grow and to have fun or whatever it happens to be. What we do at the county level touches people. And sometimes we have to be reminded of that. And I will just say, I'll end with Ling, when she started out saying she doesn't care who gets credit. I have known you for a long time, and you have started programs that have gone not only statewide but national when it came to the internships and manufacturing and I remember sitting in the White Bear School District offices going, how can we make this happen? And you have, just the energy is absolutely amazing. But I want to make sure that you get credit.
And I just want to say one thing, because I don't want Dario to undermine himself. It's not just space and programming, but I think what I heard from the youth up here is something that brought back to me in my work in child development that one of the most important things any child needs for successful and healthy development is loving, caring relationships with 5 to 6 adults. They need those developmental relationships to be successful, and I heard from youth up here who said they didn't have that or didn't have enough of that. And what I heard about the programming is it's not just training, it's not just a salary, it's not just a space, but it's people who express care, who challenge growth, who provide support, who share power and expand possibilities. And that is something every youth needs on multiple ends. So it's not just the programming that's being offered, but it's the way that it's offered, and a cohort model that includes that human and relational element is critical, because it is all relational. And those stories and relationships matter, and getting to hear those stories is important, and it just re-emphasizes the relationship piece of that. Even if you're a homebody, which I get, I prefer to be at home as well, but you need those relationships for success. So whenever I hear of a youth who says, oh, I didn't have anyone like that growing up, it's just heartbreaking. So thank you for being that person for some of these youth, and I hope you continue to find them, youth in this room. Do you have something brief? Because I do want to go to we've got a couple more slides.
Just a brief, just to say what has sort of already been said. But we're so grateful for all of you that we can showcase these programs. You know, when we're bringing a national board meeting, when the White House is coming, we say, what do we talk about from Ramsey County? And Ramsey County is doing a lot of amazing things, but we're showcasing this work because this is so spectacular, and just thank all of you for being a part of it. And I know that when people hear about it, they're gonna say, oh my gosh, everyone needs to hear about this. So unfortunately, when you do a great job, you're gonna get to do more great jobs. You get to do more work then, you know, by telling other people about this. But I know that this will spread far and wide, and I'm so grateful to all of you. I'm so proud that we get to talk about this when you're bringing people in from other places, and I just couldn't be more grateful to you, Ling, and all of you for all of your work. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And just in the interest of time, I'm going to fly through 3 more quick slides just about what's next, right? Where we're going. And I know, well, first I want to just say that the Brookings partnership has been so critical because, as you can see, you know, we have a lot of good ideas, but we were also going by some of work that was actually happening in Seattle, King County, and I think we made it better. So, I mean, it's, you know, this is from 2015 to 2019, but, you know, it's this iterative thing where we look around the country, we see what's working, but we kind of do what's our community saying, right? And so there's kind of this blend of hearing our community while we're learning about these national systems change models. And so if we want to go to the next slide, it really is thinking about what transformation looks like with these ARPA investments. And I assure you, before the next 2 years are through, we will come back and probably have more conversations about sustainability and what was that connective tissue that really makes sense for the county to be in. But we know that there is a role here for the county to help workforce orgs, help employers, help the funders. You know, I want to go back to what Ryan and I just mentioned about 3M. Like, we have a lot of conversations with funders right now, but we're waiting to figure out, kind of as the ARPA cliff comes on, like what it is that where their space is here in this space. And so I know Commissioner Zhang, you joined me with East Side's funders. I mean, I don't really have a direct ask right now of kind of the big picture because I want to see how some of this sort of plays out a little bit. And then lastly, we just put in an application for some more technical assistance. We haven't heard back, but we're hoping to become one of these youth skills, youth building, I don't even remember the acronym. Youth systems building for youth through DOL. Again, we have really gained a lot when we've brought in other thought leaders, whether it's Youth Prize, whether it's Brookings, whether it's DOL. Like, we know that we cannot do this without more thought leadership too, because this work is very tiring, even though it is it is really good work. So we're trying to constantly find some of that support and help nationally too. So with that, that concludes, and it gives you a little flavor of the rest of the week, and we'll try to package it in different ways for everyone's consumption on Thursday, depending on the audience. So.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
Seeing no further comments, I will declare us adjourned.